Last week I stood in my driveway staring at a brand new G-Wagon. 5 grown adults surrounded me, each one smiling through tears. They handed me the keys and said, "This is for you, Uncle Z." 15 years ago I stood in this same spot, but back then it was 5 frightened children with small bags watching their mother drive away into the night. She told me she was not built to be a mom. Now she wants the reward for children she abandoned. Before we begin, let me know where you are watching from today. Hit that like button and subscribe if you believe that real family is about who shows up. Can someone really claim credit for children they walked away from? Let us find out. My sister Darlene and I grew up in a small town in Ohio. Our parents divorced when I was 10 years old, and she was 13. After that, our mother worked 2 jobs just to keep food on the table. She was rarely home, always exhausted, doing her best, but stretched too thin. Darlene and I handled things differently. Even as a teenager, Darlene had a way of making everything about herself. When something went wrong, it was never her fault. She blamed teachers, friends, our mother, the universe. Me, I learned to stay quiet, work hard, and let things roll off my back. Our grandmother Loretta lived a few blocks away. She became my anchor. Grandma Loretta had this way of seeing straight through to the truth of things. She used to sit on her porch with sweet tea and tell me stories about our family, about struggle, about what it means to show up for people you love. One thing she said stuck with me my whole life. She told me, "Zenobia family is not about blood. It is about who shows up when life gets hard." I did not fully understand those words until much later. Darlene got married at 20 to a man named Rodney. He worked construction, and his income went up and down with the seasons. Darlene complained constantly. Nothing was ever good enough. The apartment was too small. Rodney did not make enough money. Life was unfair, but despite all her complaints, she kept having children. Over 10 years, she had 5 kids. Marcus came first, then Brianna 2 years later. Then the twins, Jaden and Kayla, and finally little Destiny. I watched from a distance as my sister's life grew more chaotic. Every phone call was filled with grievances. Rodney was useless. The kids were too much. She never had time for herself. I sent money when I could, bought birthday presents for the kids, tried to be a good uncle. I figured she was going through a rough patch and would eventually find her footing. Then Rodney left. Destiny was only 1 year old. He packed a bag one night and disappeared. No forwarding address, no child support, nothing. Darlene called me sobbing, and I felt genuinely sorry for her. A single mother with 5 children under 13 years old. I increased my financial help. I visited more often. I thought I was supporting her through the hardest chapter of her life. I was 33 years old at the time, working as an electrician. I had a decent apartment, a stable income, and a simple life. No wife, no kids, just me and my routine. I liked it that way. I had worked hard to build something steady after our chaotic childhood. I had no idea that everything was about to change. It was a cold November night. I had just finished a long shift and was sitting on my couch watching television. The knock on my door came around 9 in the evening. I was not expecting anyone. When I opened the door, there stood Darlene with all 5 children behind her. Each child carried a small bag. Their faces were a mixture of confusion and fear. Darlene did not even step inside. She just stood there in the doorway and said words I will never forget. "I cannot do this anymore. I was not built to be a mom. They are better off with you." I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. I asked her what she was talking about, where she was going. She told me there was a man in California who promised her a fresh start, a new life without the burden of motherhood. I tried to reason with her. I asked her to come inside and talk about it. I told her we could figure something out together, but her mind was already made up. She had that look in her eyes, the same look she had when she made impulsive decisions as a teenager. There was no reaching her. I looked at the children. Marcus, 13 years old, was trying so hard to appear strong, but his eyes were red and glassy. Brianna, 11, had tears streaming silently down her cheeks. The twins, Jaden and Kayla, just 8 years old, clung to each other like they were afraid of being separated. And little Destiny, only 3, looked around with wide eyes, too young to comprehend that her mother was leaving forever. Darlene walked back to her car without hugging them goodbye. She did not look back. The engine started, headlights swept across my lawn, and then she was gone. The sound of her car faded into the cold night until there was nothing but silence. I stood in my doorway with 5 children I had not prepared for, 5 lives suddenly in my hands. Marcus looked up at me and asked quietly, "Uncle Z, is Mom coming back?" I wanted to lie. I wanted to tell him, yes, of course, she just needs a little break, but I could not do that to him. So I simply said, "I do not know, buddy, but I am here. I am not going anywhere." The first weeks were pure chaos. My 1-bedroom apartment was meant for 1 person, not 6. That first night I gathered every blanket and pillow I owned and made beds on the living room floor. The children huddled together like refugees. Destiny cried for hours, calling for her mommy. I walked back and forth across that small space, rocking her until the sun came up. I called Darlene dozens of times. Every call went straight to voicemail. Eventually, the number was disconnected entirely. She had vanished into her new life without a single look back at the 5 children she had created. I had to face reality quickly. I needed a bigger place, but I had spent most of my savings on helping Darlene over the years. I found a modest 3-bedroom house to rent on the outskirts of town. It took nearly everything I had left for the deposit. The house needed work. The neighborhood was not great, but it had a backyard and enough rooms for the children to have some space. My life transformed overnight. Suddenly, I was responsible for school schedules, doctor appointments, grocery shopping for 6 people, homework help, and the emotional needs of 5 traumatized children. I had no idea how to braid hair for the girls. I did not know how to cook meals that would feed a family. I had never helped a child with nightmares or explained why their mother did not want them. I called Grandma Loretta in desperation. She was 75 years old, her body tired and slow, but her spirit was stronger than anyone I knew. She came over that first week and looked around at the chaos. Then she hugged me and said, "You did not choose this, Zenobia, but this is your moment. These babies need someone who will not quit on them." She started coming over every day to help while I worked. Going back to my job was terrifying. I could not afford to lose income, but I also could not leave 5 children alone. Grandma watched them during the day, but she could only do so much at her age. I started waking up at 4 in the morning to get lunches packed and breakfast ready before my shift. After work, I rushed home to relieve Grandma, then spent the evenings helping with homework, making dinner, doing laundry, and handling whatever crisis had popped up that day. Money became a constant worry. My electrician's salary that had been comfortable for 1 person was nowhere near enough for 6. I started picking up side jobs, rewiring neighbors' houses in the evenings, doing electrical repairs for anyone who would pay. When that was not enough, I took night shifts at a warehouse on weekends. I averaged maybe 4 hours of sleep a night. I sold my truck, the one possession I truly loved. It was a restored 1987 pickup that I had spent years working on. I sold it and bought a used minivan with over 100,000 miles on it. That minivan became our family vehicle for the next decade. My coworker Derek noticed the changes in me. I was exhausted, losing weight, constantly distracted. One day he asked me what was going on. I told him everything. Derek did not offer pity or empty words. Instead, he started showing up on weekends to help. He taught Marcus how to throw a football, helped me fix things around the house, and became like an uncle to those kids himself. The children were struggling in their own ways. Marcus started getting into fights at school. Other kids would make comments about his mom abandoning him, and he would respond with his fists. I must have gone to that principal's office a dozen times in the first year. I understood his anger. I felt it too. But I had to teach him that fighting would not fix anything. Brianna went in the opposite direction. She became almost invisible, withdrawing into herself. She barely spoke at school, had no friends, and spent hours in her room alone. I worried about her constantly. I started having quiet talks with her at bedtime, just sitting on the edge of her bed, letting her know I was there whenever she wanted to share. The twins had nightmares almost every night. They developed this fear that I would disappear too. For months, one of them would creep into my room in the darkness just to make sure I was still there. One night, Kayla asked me, "Uncle Z, you promise you will not leave us like Mommy did?" I knelt down, held her hands, and promised her I would never leave. I meant it with every fiber of my being. Destiny, being only 3, did not fully understand what had happened. But she kept asking why she did not have a mommy like the other kids at daycare. Those questions broke my heart every time. I did not know how to explain that her mother had chosen a man in California over her. I started learning everything I could about childhood trauma and parenting. I watched YouTube videos on how to braid hair. I read books about helping children process abandonment. I found a church nearby and started taking the kids on Sunday mornings, not so much for religion but for community. Those church folks became another layer of support. The ladies taught me recipes, the men helped with house repairs, and the children found friends their own age. There were so many moments when I wanted to give up. Nights when I sat in my van in the driveway after everyone was asleep, just crying from exhaustion and stress. Moments when I questioned whether I was enough, whether these children deserved better than what I could give them. But then I would walk inside and see Destiny sleeping peacefully in her bed, or find a note from Brianna that said, "Thank you, Uncle Z," and I would find the strength to keep going. 7 years after Darlene left, she resurfaced. I had almost made peace with her absence. The children were doing better. We had found our rhythm. Then my phone rang one afternoon, and there was her voice sounding exactly the same as it did the night she left. The man in California had dumped her. The new life she had chased turned out to be empty. Now she wanted to come visit her children. I wanted to say no. Every instinct told me to protect these kids from more disappointment. But I also felt they had a right to see their mother if they wanted to. I told her she could come for a short visit. She showed up looking like she had money, wearing designer clothes and driving a nice car. I later found out everything was borrowed or rented. Image was always more important to Darlene than reality. The children's reactions varied. Marcus, now 20 years old, refused to see her. He was working part-time and attending community college, building his own life. He told me, "She is not my mother. You are my father. She is just some woman who gave birth to me." The younger ones were more conflicted. Brianna was curious but guarded. The twins seemed nervous, not sure how to act around this stranger who shared their DNA. Destiny, now 10, kept staring at Darlene with confused fascination. Darlene stayed for 3 days. In that time, she contributed nothing. She did not cook a meal, did not help with homework, did not ask about their lives beyond surface questions. What she did do was take pictures. Lots of pictures. Selfies with the kids, photos of herself at our dinner table, shots of her hugging children who sat stiffly in her arms. She posted them all on social media with captions about being a proud mother. On her second night there, Darlene and I sat on the back porch after the kids went to bed. She had been drinking wine, and her true feelings started to emerge. She told me, "You know you have done okay with them. but they are still my children. I am still their mother." I did not argue with her. There was no point. In her mind, the title of mother was hers by biology, regardless of the fact that she had done none of the work. She left on the third day with promises to stay in touch, to call regularly, to come back soon. Within a month, the calls stopped. Within 3 months, her phone number changed again. The children heard nothing from her for years. It was almost worse than the first abandonment, because this time they were old enough to feel the rejection fully. Life continued forward. The children grew up. I grew older alongside them, watching them transform from scared kids into capable young adults. Marcus graduated from community college and transferred to a state university. He studied computer science and landed a job at a tech company. Watching him walk across that graduation stage was one of the proudest moments of my life. Brianna discovered a passion for helping people. She went to nursing school and now works at our local hospital. The quiet, withdrawn girl who barely spoke became a confident woman who saves lives every day. Jaden developed a love of teaching. He is currently finishing his master's degree in education. He wants to help children who come from difficult backgrounds, children like he once was. Kayla, his twin, has an artistic soul. She opened her own hair salon 2 years ago. It is small but growing. She specializes in styles for Black women and children, filling a need in our community. And Destiny, my baby girl, who was only 3 when she landed on my doorstep, just graduated high school with honors. She earned a scholarship to study psychology. She wants to become a therapist for children who have experienced abandonment. Her application essay was about me, about how one person showing up changed the trajectory of 5 lives. Somewhere in the middle of all this, I met Tamara. She joined our church about 5 years ago, a kind woman with a gentle spirit and a laugh that could light up a room. We became friends first, then more. When I told her about the children, about my unconventional family, she did not flinch. She said, "It sounds like you built something beautiful out of something broken." We got married 3 years ago. She became another mother figure to kids who desperately needed one. Grandma Loretta passed away about 3 years ago. She was 90 years old, her body finally giving out even though her spirit fought until the end. All 5 children came to her funeral. Marcus gave the eulogy. In her final days, Grandma held my hand and said, "Zenobia, you became the man I always knew you could be. Those babies are your legacy." Last week, the children told me they had a surprise. They asked me to come outside but would not tell me why. I walked out my front door and saw it sitting in my driveway. A brand new Mercedes G-Wagon, black and gleaming in the sunlight. The 5 of them stood around it, grinning like they were kids again. Marcus held the keys. He stepped forward and said, "Uncle Z, you gave up everything for us. You never asked for anything back. You sold your truck, worked 3 jobs, missed years of sleep. You showed up every single day, even when it was hard. This is from all of us. You deserve this." I could not speak. Tears ran down my face as I hugged each one of them. Tamara was recording on her phone, crying too. In that moment, I felt like every sacrifice, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt had been worth it. These 5 humans, now adults, had pooled their hard-earned money to give me something I never expected. Tamara posted the video on our family Facebook page, a private group we use to share updates and memories. She never imagined it would reach anyone outside our circle. But somehow, through shares and tags, the video traveled. And 2 days later, Darlene saw it. My phone rang at 9 in the morning. I saw her name on the screen and considered not answering. But something made me pick up. Her voice started sweet, asking how I was, saying she had seen the video, what a nice car. Then the mask slipped. "Those are my children," she said, her voice rising. "I gave birth to them. That car should be mine. That is my reward for being their mother. You stole them from me, Zenobia. You turned them against me." I want that car, and if you do not give it to me, I will sue you for everything you have." I let her finish. I let her scream and threaten and make demands. When she finally paused to take a breath, I spoke calmly. "Darlene, you dropped those children off on my doorstep like unwanted furniture. You did not raise them. You did not stay up with their fevers. You did not work 3 jobs to pay for their braces. You did not hold them when they had nightmares about their mother abandoning them. You do not get to claim credit for their success." She started screaming again, calling me names, threatening lawyers and courts. I just laughed, a genuine peaceful laugh. Then I said goodbye and hung up the phone. After that call, I went outside and sat on my porch looking at that G-Wagon in the driveway. Tamara came out and sat beside me, her hand finding mine like it always does. I thought about that cold November night 15 years ago. 5 terrified children standing on my doorstep with everything they owned in small bags. I remembered thinking I was not equipped for this. Not ready, not qualified. I was a single man, an electrician who knew nothing about raising children. But I learned. Day by day, mistake by mistake, I learned. I learned how to cook meals that a 13-year-old would actually eat. I learned how to help with algebra homework and science projects. I learned how to listen when a teenage girl would not talk, how to wait patiently until she was ready. I learned that showing up matters more than being perfect. I thought about the nights I almost gave up. The times I cried alone in my van, wondering if I was ruining these children with my inadequacy. The moments when money was so tight I did not know how we would eat until next payday. I got through all of it. We got through all of it together. Tamara squeezed my hand and said something I will never forget. She told me, "You know that car is not the real gift. The real gift is who they have become." She was right. The G-Wagon is beautiful, and I appreciate it more than words can express. But the true reward is seeing Marcus confident and successful. It is watching Brianna save lives. It is knowing Jaden will shape young minds, and Kayla creates beauty with her hands. It is seeing Destiny chase her dreams with the confidence of someone who knows she is loved. Darlene can threaten to sue all she wants. No court in this country will give her a car that 5 adults chose to purchase for the man who raised them. Biology does not equal parenthood. Giving birth does not equal showing up. She made her choice 15 years ago when she drove away into the night. She does not get to change her mind now that there are rewards to claim. But here is the thing. I do not hate Darlene. I used to in those early years when I was exhausted and overwhelmed. I used to fantasize about telling her off, about making her see what she had done. But somewhere along the way, the anger faded. Now, I just feel sad for her. She missed everything. She missed Marcus's first home run and Brianna's nursing school graduation. She missed the twins' 18th birthday party and Destiny's scholarship announcement. She missed 15 years of inside jokes and family dinners and movie nights, and all the tiny moments that make up a life together. I got all of that, every single moment, and I would not trade it for anything. Yesterday I took the G-Wagon out for its first real drive. Tamara sat beside me, windows down, music playing. I drove past our little rental house, the one where 6 of us squeezed into 3 bedrooms for years. I bought that house last year. We use it now for family gatherings, a place where all the kids can come home to, no matter how far life takes them. I thought about Grandma Loretta as I drove. I could almost hear her voice saying, "Family is not about blood. It is about who shows up when life gets hard." She was right. She was always right. 15 years ago, I did not know if I could be enough for 5 scared children. I doubted myself every day. But I showed up anyway. I showed up when I was tired. I showed up when I was scared. I showed up when I did not know what I was doing. And somehow, showing up was enough. That is what makes a family. Not DNA. Not legal documents. Not who gave birth to whom. Family is about presence. It is about consistency. It is about choosing each other every single day, especially the hard days. Darlene can threaten lawsuits until she runs out of breath. She can claim those children as hers until the end of time. But here is what she will never have. She will never have the memory of teaching Marcus to drive. She will never have the feeling of watching Brianna care for her first patient. She will never have the pride of seeing the twins become independent adults. She will never have the joy of reading Destiny's college acceptance letter together. Those moments are mine, all mine, and no lawsuit in the world can take them away. So here I am, 50 years old, driving a G-Wagon I never expected, married to a woman I never knew I needed, father to 5 children who were never biologically mine, but are entirely my own. Life did not turn out how I planned. It turned out better. To anyone out there facing an impossible situation, to anyone who has been handed responsibility they did not ask for, I want you to know this. You do not have to be perfect. You just have to be present. You do not have to have all the answers. You just have to keep showing up. Love is not about grand gestures or expensive gifts. Love is about consistency, about being there day after day, even when it is hard. Darlene was right about one thing, though. She did not mean it the way it came out. She was not built to be a mom. Some people are not. But I discovered that I was built to be a father. I just did not know it until 5 children needed me to be. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever stepped up for someone when nobody else would? Have you ever found family in unexpected places? Drop a comment below and share your story. If this story touched you, please give it a like and subscribe to this channel for more real stories about real people facing real challenges. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that showing up matters. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And thank you for being part of this community. May you find the strength to show up for the people who need you, and may you be surrounded by people who show up for you. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.